The core rule of archaeology is a straightforward one. The more we dig, the more we discover. Thankfully, archaeologists never stop digging, so they never stop unearthing treasures. Here are just a few of the most remarkable things they've come across during the course of their work. Let's kick off this countdown with number 15, the Christian monastery in the UAE. The UAE might not be the first place you'd associate with early Christianity, but the region wasn't always Islamic. That's why archaeologists weren't entirely shocked in November 2022 when the ruins of a 6th or 7th century monastery were found on Sinai Island, near the coast of al-Quwain in the Persian Gulf. It's too soon to say for sure, but researchers believe it may have been built and used during the lifetime of the Prophet Muhammad. Islam would become the region's dominant religion not long after, but archaeological traces suggest this Christian monastery remained active well beyond that shift. What's surprising isn't that Christianity predated Islam here, but that the two belief systems likely coexisted for a time. The ruling family of al-Quwain is currently backing restoration efforts across several historic sites on their land, and this ancient monastery has now been added to that list of preserved legacies. Number 14, ancient Qizqapan tomb. The Qizqapan tomb at Dan in Iraq is undeniably ancient, carved from rock, and unquestionably a burial site. Scholars are in full agreement on those facts. The ongoing debate centers around whether this was truly the grave of a powerful Median king. Whoever was entombed here clearly held great significance. That's evident from the Hellenistic engravings that adorn the chamber, along with its stately columns and Zoroastrian motifs etched into its surfaces. Legend points to it being the final resting place of Cyaxares, who was the last dominant ruler of the Median Empire, the monarch who dismantled Assyrian supremacy and ushered in the Median era before eventually falling to the Persians. But that's still speculative. Repeated looting over the centuries has stripped the tomb of clear identifiers. The only possible link is a religious carving above the main entrance, depicting a noble figure beside a fire altar, hand raised in worship. It's very likely a king was buried here, but we may never know his name. Well, that's the reality. Number 13, Rakhigarhi couple. Burial. Would you choose to be buried beside your partner forever? That's precisely what seems to have happened in 2019 when archaeologists found a joint burial in Rakhigarhi, a former Harappan city in Haryana. The skeletal remains of a man and woman, estimated to be 4,500 years old, were laid to rest side by side. Neither body showed signs of trauma, yet the man was around 35 years old and the woman about 25, making natural deaths for both less likely. The grave goods were typical for the era, earthenware pots and ornaments made of stone beads. Harappan burials are known for their simplicity, so the absence of additional artifacts doesn't imply low status. While this isn't the only known couple's burial from the region, it's the first to be uncovered since the 1950s. What led to their simultaneous burial remains a mystery, but their resting place offers a rare, silent glimpse into Harappan pure relationships and customs. Number 12. The Maccabees' tomb debate. Back in 2015, Israeli archaeologists announced what could be the most significant biblical find in decades, the potential lost tomb of the Maccabees. 7 years later, debate still rages over whether it's the real burial place of the Jewish rebel heroes who fought the Seleucid Empire 2,200 years ago. What's beyond dispute is that the structure unearthed matches ancient descriptions of a grand tomb built for the Maccabees. The clinching detail? A Byzantine mosaic cross embedded into the floor. This is the only known burial vault in the region adorned in that way, suggesting it marked a sacred and revered site. Still, historians remain divided. Some insist the evidence is circumstantial and want definitive inscriptions. As of now, the tomb joins 2 other locations in the region, all competing for recognition as the true burial site. Until stronger proof is found, The tomb's identity, and the Maccabees' final resting place, remains an open question. Number 11. Spiti Valley Petroglyphs. We picture deserts as sweltering, but not all are scorching. Spiti Valley is a cold desert, high, barren, and isolated. But its temperature isn't what makes it special. The area's claim to fame is its rock art, massive fields of petroglyphs etched into stone across more than 10 square miles of remote Himalayan terrain. These carvings remain poorly understood due to minimal study. Most estimates place them at around 3,500 years old, but no one knows who created them or why. Their meaning is still a mystery. However, the quiet isolation of Spiti may not last much longer. UNESCO has shortlisted the site for World Heritage status. If that happens, the petroglyphs might finally get the attention they deserve, from scholars, conservationists, and tourists alike. With proper research and visibility, we might be able to decode what these symbols were meant to express. Until then, they remain silent stone testimonies, waiting for their turn to speak. Number 10. Lost Euripides tragedies in Egyptian tomb. In a Roman-era grave near ancient Philadelphia in Egypt, archaeologists uncovered a papyrus containing nearly 100 lines from two long-lost plays by Euripides, written during Athens' classical era. Though the papyrus dates to the 3rd century CE, the content comes from the 5th century BCE, when Athenian tragedy flourished. The fragments include parts of Ino, a turbulent mythic drama, and Polyeidos, a philosophical tale featuring a seer's confrontation with a king. One preserved passage from Polyeidos delivers a pointed rebuke. "You're rich, but don't think you understand the rest. Ineptitude arises in prosperity." These aren't fragments in name only. They carry dramatic weight and structure, with back-and-forth dialogue nearly intact. After nearly 2 millennia, voices once performed on ancient stages have resurfaced. From the ashes of scrolls and the dust of tombs, authentic theatrical language has returned. Not reconstructed, not guessed, but preserved line for line. Few finds give us such vivid echoes of a vanished performance. Number 9. The Saka Royal Gold Hoard. Finding gold in ancient tombs is every archaeologist's dream, but it rarely happens. In 2018, a team working in the remote Tarbagatai Mountains of Kazakhstan uncovered a stunning royal hoard dating back 2,800 years. Over 3,000 individual items were recovered, believed to have once belonged to a monarch or elite figure of the Saka culture. While gold is always valuable, what makes this find extraordinary is the level of craftsmanship involved. Among the items were gold beads used as clothing embellishments, many of which showed signs of micro-soldering, an advanced technique few thought possible for that time. The question isn't just how they created such delicate pieces, but how they mined and processed that much gold in the first place. These artifacts speak not only to wealth, but also to a technological sophistication that challenges everything previously assumed about Saka metalwork. So, for now, it's a riddle. Number 8. The Gabal el Silsila carvings. In 2015, Swedish archaeologists began examining 2 New Kingdom chapels in the Gabal el Silsila region of Aswan, Egypt. Chapels 30 and 31 had been studied before, yet the Swedes found something new. 6 figures carved directly into the sandstone, hidden within 2 niches. These weren't just significant. They had been completely overlooked by prior researchers. The region had once been devastated by a massive earthquake, leaving it buried under layers of rubble. Most experts assumed nothing of value survived. Famed Argentine Egyptologist Ricardo Caminos had even declared Chapel 30 entirely destroyed. That claim proved wrong. One niche shows the chapel owner, Neferon Pet, seated beside his wife. The other appears to depict their extended family. It's remarkable that these carvings survived both a natural disaster and centuries of erosion. Even more surprisingly, the area was used as a quarry in the 18th century. that the artwork remained untouched is nothing short of a quiet archaeological miracle. Number 7. The Corlech Head. The Corlech Head may represent the old Irish deity Crom Cruach, said in legend to have been buried up to his neck for 3 days. But that's speculative. Truthfully, no one knows what the sculpture actually depicts. What we do know is that the piece dates back roughly 1,900 years and was discovered in 1855 in Drumcoo, County Cavan. Its striking feature is its 3 faces, one more than the Roman god Janus, which might be more than a coincidence. A Romano-Irish shrine lies not far from where it was found. Each face is distinct. One has heavy brows, another bears only a slit for a mouth, and the third has a hollow where a mouth should be. The theory linking it to Crom Cruach is shaky, since the god is typically shown with a single face. Whether religious idol or abstract creation, this head remains one of Ireland's most enigmatic ancient artifacts. Number 6. Pyramid of Ararat. Plain archaeologists working near Armenia's Ararat Plain have spent over a decade exploring the region. Their most striking discovery is a pyramid, dubbed the Pyramid of the Ararat Plain. Estimated to be around 3,500 years old, it shares structural similarities with Mesoamerican pyramids from regions like Mexico. Despite its height, over 80 feet, it went unnoticed until 2017, buried under layers of centuries-old debris and dust. Unlike Egypt's pyramids, which were tombs, this structure likely had a different purpose. Experts believe it may have functioned as a protective shelter during attacks on nearby villages. Surrounding settlements date back over 6,000 years, indicating that people lived in the area for centuries before the pyramid was built. Even now, several years after its initial discovery, the site remains under active study. With no mummies or treasure found, its true role remains speculative. But for now, it's a puzzle that's slowly being decoded. One layer, one stone, and one generation at a time. Number 5. New radiocarbon ages of Dead Sea Scrolls. For decades, paleographers dated the Dead Sea Scrolls by handwriting style, a method limited by subjectivity and lack of archaeological context. A recent study has changed that, combining radiocarbon dating, high-resolution imaging, and machine learning. First, researchers removed old conservation substances like castor oil from the scrolls, improving carbon dating accuracy. They dated 30 scrolls from various Judean desert sites, covering 4 centuries. Then they applied a ML model called Enoch to analyze visual patterns in the script, curves, angles, and strokes without reading the text. Enoch predicted likely date ranges for 135 previously undated fragments. The results were striking. A fragment of Daniel, long thought to be a later copy, now dates to between 230 and 160 BCE, closer to its supposed time of composition. Ecclesiastes was pushed back to the 3rd century BCE. These findings show some biblical books were being written, copied, and perhaps canonized far earlier than assumed. All right now, let's move to Number 4. Ancient Arini Winery. Wine lovers might appreciate this ancient gem. In 2011, researchers found what is believed to be the world's oldest known winery in a cave near Arini, Armenia. The wine press found inside has been dated to around 6,100 years ago. That's not all. Archaeologists also discovered a 5,500-year-old leather shoe nearby, possibly tied to the winemaking process. Local theories suggest wine was produced here during ceremonial events, maybe for burial rituals that included removing shoes. More likely, the winemakers simply stepped barefoot into the grapes. Chemical analysis confirmed the presence of malvidin, a pigment found in red wine, both on the press and inside clay jars, proving this cave was a fully operational winery. This wasn't casual drinking, it was organized, possibly sacred. Wine was made, pressed, stored, and likely consumed right there. While most wine lovers admire an aged vintage, even the most dedicated sommelier might agree. 6,100 years is pushing it. Still, it proves winemaking's ancient, rooted legacy in human culture. Number 3. Lost work of Philodemus. Unrolled, virtually buried beneath volcanic ash at Herculaneum since 79 CE, the Villa of the Papyri has long held hundreds of carbonized scrolls too fragile to open. But thanks to the Vesuvius Challenge and cutting-edge imaging, one scroll, P. Herculaneum 172, has now been virtually unwrapped and identified. Using high-energy X-ray scans at the UK's Diamond Synchrotron, researchers created a 3D model of the rolled layers. Subtle ink traces were enhanced digitally, revealing the name Philodemus, a 1st century BCE Epicurean philosopher. The work's title also appeared, On Vices, likely the first volume in a 10-part series. The team from the University of Würzburg earned a $60,000 prize, but the real reward was scholarly. A previously unread philosophical text, recovered without disturbing its charcoal shell. Nearly 800 sealed scrolls remain. But for the first time, an ancient library once thought lost forever has begun to speak again. Not through excavation, but through precision technology and patient decoding. Number 2. The Code of Ur-Nammu. A code of laws is the foundation that supports any civilization. The oldest known legal code in human history is the Code of Ur-Nammu, inscribed on clay tablets in Sumerian over 3,700 years ago. The first fragments were found in Nippur in 1952 and are now kept at the Istanbul Museum. These original tablets were badly damaged. Only 5 laws could be read. Fortunately, more complete copies surfaced in 1965, allowing scholars to translate around 30 out of 57 known laws. These were issued by King Ur-Nammu, who ruled between 4090 and 4110 years ago, meaning the laws were already old when recorded. The first law states that a murderer must be executed. The second calls for the same penalty for robbery. Surprisingly, kidnapping only results in imprisonment and a fine. It seems that stealing a person, oddly enough, was considered less severe than stealing property. These laws reveal a strange but ordered view of ancient justice. Number 1. Writing in Mesopotamia and visual seals. In Uruk, around 3500 BCE, clay tablets and cylinder seals were already vital to administration. These seals, rolled into wet clay, depicted images, vessels, textiles, livestock, serving as records. A recent study by the University of Bologna suggests those visual stamps may have laid the foundation for writing. Scholars compared hundreds of seal impressions from 4,400 to 3,400 BCE with proto-cuneiform signs used by 3,200 BCE. They discovered clear visual and semantic parallels. Motifs like netted jars or patterned fabrics transitioned directly into script. A seal showing a netted vessel became the sign for container. Another pattern became cloth. These weren't coincidental shapes. They carried meaning across mediums. This points to writing not as a sudden innovation, but a slow evolution from imagery already in administrative use. The research also gives scholars a new tool. By aligning seal motifs with signs, previously undeciphered symbols can now be interpreted. It's visual memory becoming formal language, writing born from function, not abstraction. We hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for joining us on this journey, and we'll see you very soon.